Thursday, everybody. Welcome to this week's live cooking class. I am Stephanie Dreyer, a plant-based meal planning expert and the founder of Batch Cooking Club, a weekly vegan meal prep membership that makes dinner easier. We are here live weekly on Thursdays with a new recipe for you from our weekly plan. Today we are doing some herb marinated white beans, and we're using these in two different ways this week. We're using them in our white bean ranch loaded baked potatoes, and we're also using them in a hazelnut romesco pasta and beans recipe. Are you telling me we've got some questions back there?
Just a hi.
Oh, okay. I'm getting the signal behind the camera that we have some people tuning in, so I'm gonna shout out to everybody who's tuning in. Thank you so much for watching live. If you're catching this in replay, go ahead and drop #replay. Post your questions anytime during the class, and I will answer them if I can live, and if not, I always go back and review them to see them personally. So any questions before we start? I'm getting confused back here. Okay, so I'm gonna get started. Like I said, we're gonna go through these herb marinated beans, and what we try to do at Batch Cooking Club, well, let me tell you first, give you a little background if you're new to us, and shout out to all of our members. We appreciate and love you. Thank you for being a part of our community. We always give you, each week, Wednesdays, we drop a new dinner plan with 4 recipes. We also give you a prep plan with 4 to 6 recipes that speed up those 4 dinners later in the week so that you can get dinner on the table in less than 30 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes. And the prep plan only takes you no more than 2 hours, sometimes less. We always give you one recipe, which is this one this week, that you can double batch and use in 2 completely different ways. One of the things I hear all the time is, I hate using leftovers. My family doesn't like leftovers. I hate eating this, that over and over again. Well, this is a way where you actually plan for leftovers and you use this in 2 completely different ways. You won't even realize it's the same thing. As I said, it's our white bean ranch loaded sweet, regular potatoes, and then we have this pasta and beans. So I'm gonna show you this recipe, and then I'm gonna give you a ton of other ways that you can use these beans. A marinated protein is the way to go when you're batch cooking. I almost always include a marinated protein in our plans and in my own personal meal prep plan because it makes lunches and dinners really quick and easy. So the first thing we're gonna do is we are going to take our shallot. We have 1 shallot, and I will post the recipe for this afterwards. I'm actually doing half the full recipe today, so if you're a member and you're following along, that's why you see it's a little different. I'm just doing half today because I don't need a full batch. And I am just going to chop this really finely. And while I'm doing that, I can tell you also we're going to have some fresh herbs that they're herb marinated. So I've got parsley and basil here. This is a really versatile recipe. You could use any bean. You could use any blend of herbs. And I'm using shallot and white wine vinegar, but you could even use balsamic vinegar instead, or your favorite red wine vinegar. So there's a couple different ways. This gives you kind of a base that you can kind of tweak and play with and create your own version of herb marinated beans, which is always great.
Quick question.
Yeah, question.
From the state of Washington, Marsha wants to know, what different types of white beans can you use?
Oh my gosh, great question, Marsha. Shout out to one of our star members. Thank you for tuning in, and happy holidays. So you can use, I am using Great Northern beans today. You could use cannellini beans, you could use navy beans, and honestly you could use and swap out any other bean that you like. You could do garbanzos as well. Ooh, those shallots just got me. Wait, just that 1 shallot, I'm crying already. So I'm using the Great Northern, but navy are really nice too because they're really small. So I'm just going to take, that's a great question. I'm going to take our little bowl here, and I am going to scoop in my shallot. You always want to scoop your stuff, not with the blade of the knife, just a little fact there in case you didn't know. Woo, I'm crying over here. That shallot doesn't usually get me, but the onions, yes, but not shallot. Okay, we're going to do that. Woo, sorry. I'm not sad, I swear. I'm actually super happy. I've got a new shirt on. I don't know if you can get a close-up of this. Powered by avocados and newt. Shout out to my friend Leslie Durso at Chef Leslie Durso. I think her, I'm still credit. At Leslie Durso on Instagram. She has a bunch of great, if you're a plant lover like me, she has some great shirts. There's one for pasta lovers too. And this is so me. I eat probably at least every day half avocado and a nutritional yeast. So I'm actually very happy. It's just the shallots, I swear. So I'm going to do a tablespoon and a half of the vinegar. And we're just going to let this sit for about 5 minutes to marinate. It's going to give us a little, I'm going to give this a little zhuzh here. And then we can get to work on our herbs. So I'm just going to let that sit. So we've got, like I said, we've got some parsley and we've got some, an Italian parsley. Ooh, that smells good. And we've got, I'm like still crying. It's cracking me up. I've heard all sorts of tricks. I've tried them all and none of them work for me. So I just have to cry when I'm cutting onions or shallot. I've got dill here as well. Some other ideas for herb varieties you could do are rosemary, thyme, tarragon, sage. Those are all delicious. Basil, these would all be lovely in a variety of this recipe. And so what we're doing when we make these beans, we're gonna, I mentioned in addition to the pasta and beans, the sweet potato recipe is pretty straightforward, as you might imagine. You're just gonna steam some veggies and then you're gonna load in these beans, and we've also got a yummy ranch dressing in the plan and some tempeh bacon that you're gonna load all these potatoes with. For the pasta and beans recipe, we have a robust hazelnut romesco sauce. I was gifted some hazelnuts by someone very close to me, and it inspired this recipe. So for the hazelnut romesco. So I hope you enjoy that. If you're making that this week, a shout out to my members. We also have on the plan a yellow split pea soup and a 1-pot tofu salsa verde. I specifically designed this week's dinners so that you could have 2 completely done, that 1-pot tofu salsa verde and the yellow split pea soup you make on your batch cook day. And so that way, if you're doing any Christmas dinner prep during this week, you can relax. If you're making cookies, you know that dinner's ready. You just have to reheat your soup or your tofu salsa verde and it's ready to go. So we try to keep that in mind. We always give you a variety of recipes with a variety of plant proteins and a mix of ethnic cuisine, so you're not eating the same thing over and over again. All right, do we have any more questions?
Daniela?
Hi, Danny. How are you? Another shout out to our member.
What's a good sub for the hazelnuts in the romesco if we don't already have them?
Okay, that's a great question and a great little plug for me to say that each of our, sorry, I'm crying still. Each of our, every week our membership includes an updated ingredient substitution guide. So there is an alternative for every ingredient in every recipe. In this recipe, you could choose your favorite nut. I like the hazelnut because it has a, you know, kind of a woodsy, a more robust flavor than other nuts. But you could do walnuts, you could do almonds, would be delicious as well. I probably wouldn't do a cashew for this one because then cashew just won't give you a lot of flavor, just more of a creaminess, which is fine. But I think a walnut or an almond would give you more of that robust flavor. So hopefully you have one of those in the house. Okay, I can't open this. Oh, and we also, I got it. We also have a recipe library with over 300 recipes. It's always growing every week, and we have our meal plan archive. So you can access all of the meal plans that we've ever created. So that's also, when you join us, you get that as well. You can learn more about all of this at batchcookingclub.com. Okay, so I'm gonna add a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm gonna mix my herbs together. And then I'm gonna add some lemon juice, some salt, some pepper, and some garlic, and then of course the beans, and then we'll add in the this good stuff over here, the marinated vinegar. So I'm just kind of making a paste. I don't know if you can see. I want the herbs to get really mixed in with the olive oil because I want this to coat the beans when they come in. Okay, so I'm just doing that. I'm gonna chop up some garlic. And feel free to go more or less on the garlic because I love garlic. I actually went pretty light. I only did a clove here, but this clove was for 2 cans of beans and I'm doing 1 can of beans. So I'm actually going big with my garlic. I love garlic. Let's see. Okay, what else can I tell you? I featured all the recipes that we've got in the plan this week. You can always check out what we've got on the menu over at batchcookingclub.com/this-week, and that will show you what's on the menu. And we offer annual subscriptions, and you can pay in full for the year. Or we also have 12 you can do it in 12 payments. I couldn't say that. 12 monthly payments. That's what I was trying to say. So we have something that works for everybody. And what else do I want to tell you? Who's ready for the holidays? Can you guys believe that it's Christmas next week? I can't. I'm still in the midst of Hanukkah. We're on night number 8 tonight, and then I gotta get ready for Christmas. It's never ending, but it's been fun. Even though we've been home, it's been a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in. My pans now smell amazing. Then I'm going to put my lemon in. And you just need a small lemon. I know, I think it was Danny was asking me in our private group the other day about how much, is the size of lemons. This is kind of like my average. When I say a lemon, this is, I don't know if you can see the average. That's the half size of a lemon. So you can kind of gauge. But again, you do you. This is I'm all about making recipes your own. I'm your coach, I'm your guide, but you should make food that you want to eat. So if you like it really lemony, add more lemon. If you don't like so much lemon, add less. So that's that. And we're gonna add a little bit of salt. And we're gonna do a little bit of pepper. Wipe my hands off here because they're all lemony. Little shakes of pepper. And then you can always taste this and add more lemon, salt, or pepper. That's always something I recommend is start small and then, then go big. Then go big. All right. We're gonna add our beans in. I mean, you see how easy this recipe is, and I'm taking my time, I'm talking to you. You really can have this done in 5 minutes. And then the longer it sits, the better, right? If you can let it marinate for a little bit before you eat it, even better. This is so healthy and fresh. Oh, I was gonna tell you all the ways you can use this. So besides our delicious recipes that we have this week, here are a couple of other ideas. You can make mason salad jars with this, stack lettuce, different vegetables, use some of our creamy ranch dressing at the bottom and then stack it up from there. Always put your dressing in the bottom. If you've never made a mason salad jar, always start at the bottom with your dressing and work the way up to the more delicate items that you have. Okay, and then you can also use them you can do a sandwich, smash this up a little and do a sandwich spread. You can use it in pita pockets. You can also make delicious toast. So if you wanted to do a layer of avocado and then smash this up a little bit and make either a breakfast toast, or you could make a lunch or dinner toast with it, then a huge salad. That's a really delicious way to eat these as well. And I also kind of like to serve this as a dip, a really robust dip. You could have endive, things that you can kind of scoop up. And then you could also do lettuce wraps with them. So there's tons of ways to eat these. There's no shortage. And if you mix up the beans and the herbs, you really have a different protein at every time. So go get crazy with it. So do we have any more questions?
Quick question. In the recipe, you mentioned subbing a store-bought garlic vinaigrette. How much and what other ingredients would you still use? And that's from Danielle.
So wait, what I missed the last part. I say you can use a store-bought vinaigrette instead of making the shallot and herbs, right? So then what was the second part of that?
How much and what other ingredients would you still use?
Oh, okay. So I would use, you're gonna replace that shallot vinaigrette with the dressing. So that was, I think it's 3 tablespoons in the, is the full recipe. So you'd use 3 tablespoons of your vinaigrette, and then I would use everything else the same. You can taste it, you could just use the vinaigrette and omit the lemon juice. If it's like a lemon, depends on if you have like a lemon vinaigrette, so you might not want to put all the lemon in first. You might want to taste it depending what you have. But you would do the herbs exactly the same, or your mix of herbs, and you're really just swapping out that shallot vinegar mixture, if that makes sense. And I also might go cut back a little bit on the oil if you're watching your oil, because a lot of salad dressings have oil in it, obviously. So if it's an oil salad dressing, you might want to just do just enough to coat the herbs, or you might even just ignore the oil altogether and toss it with the vinaigrette, and then toss in the fresh herbs. So if you're watching your oil intake, so that's a personal choice. Some people don't care about that. So hopefully that helps, Danny. Great question. And we try to give you, it's a great thing to point out, we try to give you ways to speed things up, right? I call it homemade-ish. So it's still homemade, but you're taking a little help from the store where you can. And I think, as you can see, I had my garlic clove there. It was peeled for me. I bought that pre-peeled. That's what I call taking help from the store, or taking a salad kit and turning it into something else. So we try to give you what we call homemade-ish tips in each recipe if we can. So if you don't want to make something from scratch, you don't have to. Another great example is in our one pot tofu salsa verde this week. We're using salsa verde, but we have an amazing, delicious tomatillo salsa in our Batch Cooking Club library, and you could definitely batch cook that on the weekend with everything else you're doing. But save yourself a step, take some help from the store, make it homemade-ish, use the store-bought salsa. So that's kind of how I go. All right, guys, this is all done. Like I said, I would let this sit in the fridge for at least half an hour to kind of like marinate. The longer it marinates, the better. I'd love to hear if you make these. Please let me know. Tell me how you use them. It's one of my favorite recipes. Do I have any other questions? All right, well then I'm gonna say thank you. You can connect with us over on, we are on Facebook, over on Instagram as well at Batch Cooking Club. And we also, I'm Stephanie, plant-based meal planning expert and founder, as I mentioned earlier. And my personal Instagram and Facebook is at Veegmama, Veegmama. We'd love to connect with you there. I give lots of help and tips about meal planning in general and how to use it to make your life simpler, not harder, how to make it work for your schedule, not make more work for you. And we go live here every Thursday, except next week we will not be live because we will be celebrating Christmas Eve. So I wish you all a wonderful holiday season, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.